Italian Football Podcast.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Italian Football Podcast. I'm Carlo Garganese, joined as always by Nima and Carlo. On today's show, we will review the weekend Serie A action. Inter and Roma are now joint leaders at the top of Serie A. Inter making it 11 wins from 12 in all competitions. They're on absolute fire, beating Lazio 2-0. Roma with another clean sheet win, this time against Udinese. Udinese and Antonio Conte, though, endured a week to forget as they lost 2-0 to Bologna, who are also now fighting right at the top of Serie A. Milan throw away a 2-goal lead at Parma. Juventus are completely impotent in attack as they draw for a second successive game in the Turin derby. Ivan Juric is likely to be sacked at Atalanta after a Domenico Berardi-inspired Sassuolo won 3-0 in Bergamo. And we'll also have our usual Baggio, Premface and Serie ASS of the week. And we will have a big discussion at the start of the show over this goal crisis that we're seeing in Serie A and what it means for the quality and the entertainment of Serie A this season. Big talking point in among calcio fans this weekend. If you want to support the Italian Football Podcast and receive all of our content that we do throughout the week without any ads, including our free Monday review show, our weekly Q&A episode where we answer all the questions from our patrons, plus the Thursday midweek review show, plus interviews, post-match reaction, and much, much more, then go to patreon.com/TIFP, become a subscriber for just $3.99 a month. You can also watch our free episodes and shorter clips on YouTube and become a patron if you like on YouTube memberships. Go to our YouTube channel on youtube.com/@itafootpod for more details. You can also sign up to be a paid subscriber on Spotify. So whichever platform that you wish to consume us on, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, YouTube, we'd really appreciate if you give us a follow, give us a subscribe to us, give us a like, give us a 5-star rating, whichever is relevant to that platform. Do that, and it really helps us to grow and do more content for you guys. And if you've not already, do follow us on our social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. But do you want to buy tickets for a Serie A match and you don't know how to? Well, Live Football Tickets is the best place to find Serie A tickets. Tickets are often available for as little as £25, sometimes even less. And buying from livefootballtickets.com is totally secure, and they even offer a 150% refund guarantee on ticket authenticity. So if you want to watch Juventus not score, or Inter score a lot, or Milan throw away leads, or Antonio Conte moan after Napoli fails to score as well, or if you want to join Nima at a Pisa versus Lecce relegation dogfight, I think that's the game you want to go and watch, then Live Football Tickets is for you. To buy tickets to any Serie A match, simply follow the link in the description of this episode. Okay, let's get into today's show. Right, just going to move myself a bit forward, make sure I don't knock the table, because every time I do that, the internet goes off. Right. So, right. Okay.
I've got this vision in my mind of like a cartoon where everything in your house is like the Flintstones. There's like a dinosaur running, like to get the electricity going, and there's like hamsters running in a wheel to get the internet.
Well, with this internet, yeah, I just upgraded my internet, and it's still, there's still something not quite right. The internet, right? Okay, let's start. Before we go in game by game, I want to talk about the big talking point among all of Serie A's fans this weekend, but also pundits. This is the big talking point, and it came about. It's kind of been simmering, bubbling a little bit this season already. It's something I've been thinking about, certainly, and I've been speaking about it with my friends. But it really, really kind of came to a fore on Saturday, because the first 4 games of the Serie A weekend, these were the results: 1-0, 0-0, 0-0, 0-0. So 1 goal in the first 4 matches of Serie A. And as I said, this led to a big discussion among Serie A fans whether the Serie A had declined in quality, but certainly has it declined in entertainment this season? And I think that it's a very valid debate to have, because there is a bit of a goal crisis in Serie A this season, certainly compared to past seasons. And I'll read you out some numbers. So 2019 and 2020-21 season, there was an average of over 3 goals a game in Serie A. 2021-22, there was an average of 2.87 goals a game. 22-23, 2.56. 2023-24, 2.61. 2024-25, last season, 2.56. Now, this season, that average has plummeted to 2.2 per match. It might even be lower, because I checked this number on Saturday. So it might have even gone lower now. And that is by quite some distance the lowest goal average in Europe's top 5 leagues this season. Bundesliga is way over 3 per game. Liga, just under 3. Premier League and La Liga, just under 2.7. And then Serie A is way down, as I said, 2.2. And if you look at the list of top scorers in Serie A this season, it's quite depressing viewing, to be honest. There's Çalhanoğlu top of the scorers charts with 5, Orsolini with him on 5. Then you've got Paz, Berardi, Pulisic, Anguissa, Castro, Leao, Bonazzoli, Pinamonti, Simeone, De Bruyne, all on 4. Many of these goals that I've read here are by these players are penalties. And to finally, and this is really damning, have a look at, with the exception of Inter, have a look at the strikers in each of the big teams in Serie A, and it's a total disaster, complete unmitigated disaster. I'm not going to read out their names, but just read out the clubs. Juventus, look at their number 9s. Roma's number 9s, Milan's number 9s, Napoli's. It's basically just Inter's strikers or forwards that are performing this season. So with this goal crisis, Nima, that we're seeing this season, is this something we should be worried about? Is there a quality crisis? What do you make of it all?
Well, I want to pick up on that last point, because the entertainment thing is not interesting at all from where I'm standing. I look, for me, the most important thing is the quality. Is there a quality crisis? And I think there's absolutely no doubt that there is. In years gone past, just to counter that point, because I know what's about to come with people saying, oh, historically, Serie A has always been low scoring. Yes, it has. But in those years, the 70s and 80s and 90s and noughties, you had the best defenders in the world, the best goalkeepers in the world, the best attackers in the world, the best coaches in the world, and they cancelled each other out. In the Serie A right now, you do not have the best defenders in the world. You don't have the best attackers in the world. You might have some of the best coaches in the world. I think that tactically they're better than the average. And by what I mean by not the best, because I know some people deliberately don't want to understand, it doesn't mean that there aren't world-class players. It means that out of the top 10 defenders and strikers and goalkeepers in the world, before 8 or 9 or all 10 played in the Serie A, now we're down to 1-2. That's the huge difference. And we know the reason for that, and that's because the more money you have, the more quality you can bring in. There's also another reason of that, and that's something we've spoken about, and that is that the overall quality of top football from a technical point of view, a skill point of view, has dropped immensely. So it's multifaceted, it's nuanced. But I do think that there is a quality crisis, absolutely. And I think this definitely shows in the attacking department, as you said yourself, because I think Juventus on paper have a good attacking setup. Inter have as well. Napoli, okay. But other than that, it's a bloodbath. I can't remember in my lifetime a Serie A with such attacking quality ever. I have never seen it.
Lack of.
What?
Lack of attacking quality.
Well, yeah, exactly. Lack of, exactly. That's what I mean. Like the lack of attacking quality, the lack of quality in the final third is the lowest it has ever been in my lifetime. I don't remember it ever being this poor. And again, it doesn't mean that there is one or two fantastic attacking talent. We're talking overall here, the average. The average has never been lower. And that is what we're seeing manifest itself. And that's just not something that, it's not just something that we're kind of, seeing in terms of the number of goals scored, but also the if you look at the games, the level of, when they get to the final third, the lack of imagination, the lack of creativity, the lack of quality in the final third, not just the finishing, is genuinely atrocious. And I hate to be repetitious.
We're the Italian football podcast, everyone.
Well, we are, but we don't do North Korean state TV or state TV, I should say, because it's state TV in all countries are now just basically, Baghdad Bob on steroids. But it's, we don't do that. We have to be honest about what we see, and we have to be, nuance it and, discuss it from this angle and that angle. And that's what we're doing. And that's why people come here. And the issue is exactly that. And for me, when I watch it, there's a positive side, which we're going to get to later when we're talking about the Scudetto race. But the negative side of that manifests itself in what we've seen this weekend overall, because the individual games, we have to analyze them and pick them apart as well, and which we will do. But I think overall, that is also demonstrated in how the Italian teams perform in Europe last season, but also this season.
This season's not been good so far, apart from
last
Inter,
season wasn't very good either.
No, last season wasn't very good, but this season, even in the group stages, has been bad, apart from Inter.
I think last season we already saw signs of that. I think already last season in Europe we saw signs of a decline, a drop off. Whereas maybe a few years before that, it was looking.
Well, that's the thing. I think everything you said is 100% right about the lack of quality, but I don't think it's just the quality. There's other reasons as well, because like I said, in 2019 to 2022-ish, Serie A was the highest scoring league of the top 5 leagues, and we used to champion that, and we used to use that. That was a big selling point for Serie A. It was okay. The quality is not what it was, right? It's not the best league, or even the second best league in Europe, but it's entertaining. There's high scoring games. Teams are attacking. It's attacking football, and that was a selling point. This season, it's a lack of quality, but it's also defensive football. There's too many defensive. It's an attitude issue as well. There's too many defensive coaches this season in Serie A. There's too much caution, and there's too many. And this is something I've been saying for a long while now. There's too many back threes, or actually back fives, let's say, because there's a 3-5-2 and then there's a 5-3-2. Depends how you play the system, and there's too many 5-3-2s in Serie A, and every teams are just cancelling each other out, playing this kind of just unimaginative. Oh, let's just play a back three because it's what everybody knows. It's what everybody knows how to do, and nobody wants to take risks, and it's manifesting itself that way. And when Gasparini's teams are defensive or not really attacking and scoring goals, then you've got a problem. But there's other coaches who are not attacking, because Gasparini is an attacking coach, but there are too many defensive coaches in Serie A this season. I think it's great that Spalletti's back. That will definitely help. But it's not good. I think that the other issue is the conditioning. We've got a real problem, and we've spoken about the injuries and the way that we're having once been ahead of the rest of the world in training, in conditioning, in the medical department in the 90s. We were way ahead of everyone. Diet, nutrition, all of that. We were way ahead. Now we're behind the rest of the world. Our teams are so badly, on the whole, our teams are so badly conditioned. It's unacceptable that, for example, to take I know Juventus are a case in their own, the way that the dreadful way that club is run. But Juventus, by the end of September, the players were exhausted. And I'm thinking, you're in September and you already look like you're at the end of the season. And I'm seeing so many of these teams in Serie A. Inter are probably the only team that look well conditioned at the moment. We'll get to them later. They look really fit. The other teams, they look even Atalanta, who traditionally have been incredibly fit. And the teams just look exhausted. You're watching, it looks like end of season games in Serie A. I think that's an issue because the tempo is we know that the tempo is slow in Serie A already, but it's not a good watching this kind of almost like walking football at times. And then the other issue, and this is something that was driving me mad, and it's making the league almost unwatchable at the moment. The refs are killing Serie A by whistling too much, giving too many free kicks, too many stoppages, too many cheap free kicks, rewarding diving and time wasting. Now, I'm not going to blame the players on this because if they're going to get away with it, they're going to get away with it. I'm not talking about diving to try and win penalties. I'm talking about defenders that are just buying free kicks by, an attacker's on them. They just feel there's lightest touch or no touch at all, and they just throw themselves to the ground. And the referees always give free kicks. Now, this is a problem all over football to an extent, but and the defenders and goalkeepers are protected species. Like the referees will always just be like, oh, if the defender goes down or the goalkeeper goes down, I'm just going to give them the benefit of any doubt that there is and give them a free kick. I know that's just psychologically, that's just how football works. That's how referees' minds work. They don't want to take the risk of giving away a goal, so they give. But in Italy, it's way over the top, and you're seeing play just stopped all the time for the cheapest free kicks, and there's no flow in the game, and that is making it absolutely unwatchable. And this weekend, honestly, there were so many examples of this that drove me mad. I mean, I remember watching, there was Cagliari Como. There was an incident where the ball went in the box. Caprile came out. He didn't even get tickled. There was barely any touch at all. It was basically no touch at all. He throws himself to the ground, wins a free kick. There you go. There's another 45 seconds, 1 minute stoppage because Cagliari were trying to hold on for a 0-0 draw. There was one in the Bologna Napoli game where Miranda got like a little tickle here, like on his top of his chest, threw himself down, holding his face. Torino were holding on. They were just doing it all the time. I mean, it was every game. I'm not saying it's one team. It was generally it's the defending team. The team holding on will do more of it, but it's just in general. It's more. I'm talking about more about the referees that they're giving too many free kicks. The threshold for a free kick in the middle of the pitch or in the defensive phase, it's too low, and it's. But
that's always been like that in the Serie A. It's not nothing new
to an extent, yes. But at the moment, when you've got all this other stuff going on, it's too much. The constant stoppages are killing the flow of the game. It's making games unwatchable. And this weekend, some of the games were unwatchable. I'll be honest with you, and I hate to say this as a Serie A fan, I really found it difficult watching the Serie A this weekend. If it wasn't for this podcast, I'd be honest, I would switch out and not watch the games. That's how bad they were this weekend.
Yeah, I mean,
I think me saying it. Imagine what it's going to be like for fans or people you're trying to win over to Serie A. We're trying to sell this league. How would you sell this league? We were struggling to sell TV rights. We can't sell a life jacket on the Titanic as it is, and we're going to try and sell this. I mean,
I think the problem with the referees has been a long time brewing, and it goes down to Rocchi. I think when it comes to the referees, there is literally one person to blame, and that is Rocchi. He's been in charge as the Serie A designator, as the top person to communicate to the referees the level they're supposed to keep in terms of interpreting and applying the laws of the game. And he has failed miserably, because after 4 or 5 years, when you see referees this confused about what to do, when the VAR is supposed to intervene, when it's not supposed to intervene, what level to keep, and they don't know what the hell they're doing, and all he does is come out and fry and criticize and throw certain referees under the bus, demote them to the Serie B, and not be able to see an improvement, but instead we see a deterioration, then it's clear that the organization, the person in charge of that organization, is simply not fit to hold the office he does, which is a problem overall in the Serie A as a whole, which we've discussed, much to the discontent of them, as we're both kind of aware of. They're not too happy about that. But the less said about that, the better. But this is a problem, and I hope that he is removed. I have a pipe dream of Collina returning and becoming the Serie A designator. I'd rather get rid of Rocchi, and I think if you have someone who's at least better at communicating across the board, internally as well as externally, on how to apply the laws of the game, the level they're supposed to keep, when the VAR is supposed to intervene, when it's not supposed to intervene, that would resolve the refereeing issue to a certain extent. Because again, this weekend we saw some inexplicably insane decisions, inconsistent from game to game, and also within the games themselves. As for the defensive mind of the coaches, look, again, I don't think the coaches per se are more defensive. I think there is a risk minimizing cultural element of the Serie A, which will never go away, and it shouldn't, because it's a unique selling point and it's a unique part of the Serie A. For me, I go back to the quality. The attacking quality just isn't there. And this is, again, this is the reason you and I do critically analyze the Serie A, because we want the league to do well. But in order to do well, you need to attract more business. You need to make it more. You need to have more money coming in order to attract the best attacking talent. Serie A isn't doing that, and pretending that everything is fine when it isn't is not what.
Well, no, the reason why we do this, the reason why we criticize, is because we can see where Serie A is going. And if this is the kind of football that is on offer, the quality, the entertainment that is in offer, then there's only one way, one direction the Serie A is going to go. And
it's
when it comes
down the toilet, it's straight down the toilet.
Yeah, and when it comes to TV rights, which we already know the Serie A is incapable of doing any kinds of negotiations. How the hell, and this is the only bit of sympathy I would have for those negotiators, how the hell do you sell this product to TV stations, what we've seen this season or what we've seen this weekend? How would you go to them and say, okay, would you like to buy the Serie A off us? Here's what we've got, 1-0, 0-0, 0-0, 0-0, 0-0. How would you sell that? You couldn't.
And especially with stadiums that are 40, 50 years old, haven't been refurbished in decades, production value, which of course then is hampered as a result of the lack of technical ability to create a modern product.
And you've got a new generation. We're trying to sell this to a new generation. Our generation, even though we're here sitting and criticizing, the generation that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, those generations can sit there and say, Serie A's gone so downhill, and moan and cry about it as we are now. But they'll still watch it, because that's what you do. When you love, it's like having, we're always going to watch Serie A, however bad it goes. It's like having a son who's a serial killer. You're still, part of you still going to love him because he's your son. Do you know what I mean? It's so, that's
that's exactly what it is.
And a new generation, those who haven't grown up.
That's exactly the point.
Those who haven't grown up on the Serie A being, a great league. And, we've got to remember, again, the Italy national team hasn't qualified for the World Cup for over a generation. So we've lost a whole generation there. And when you've got this younger generation who are already, it's a crisis, that young generation, their attention spans are no longer than 5 seconds. And they just want all they want is cheap thrills. Well, you're not going to get cheap thrills from Serie A.
The attention span of goldfish is essentially.
That's being generous. That is. I mean, so how the hell do you sell this to a person, to a young person, a youngster who's on his phone all day and just wants 5-second cheap thrills off TikTok? You're not. So we're in a delicate situation, and yeah, I don't know what the solution
No,
is.
it's there's lots of problems, and it's for me, it's not just one thing. And I want to push, I really want to push this. It's the perfect storm. It's the manifestation, the pinnacle of decades of of poor management, not from the league, from the authorities, um, from the FA, the FIGC, all of the things that we've discussed. It's not just one thing. If anything, I want this people to understand about this podcast, it's that it's all of the. You have to understand all of the things we discuss as a whole into context. Essentially, it's just one long conversation. All episodes tie into one another. So remember that it's not just now. Now we're not doing this kind of reactionary just now. No, we're talking. This is you should every episode we've ever done when we've discussed the problems in youth development, the lack of pathway, the poor selling, the poor structure, all of these things all together this is the perfect storm, the manifestation of all those issues that we've discussed through the years. And it's kind of become this season, it's become really, really tangible. It is not a high quality season. It really is a season where it's become so evident that you can't hide from it. But there are positives to that as well, and I'm sure we're going to get to that.
Well, let's move on to the games now. Let's move on to the games. Let's start off with Inter and then Roma. So because those two teams are now joint top of the Serie A, 2 points above Napoli and Milan. And Inter's amazing form continues. 11 wins, 1 defeat in their last 12 games. Inter are on absolute fire, Nima.
They are. What I like, the game against Lazio for me was an absolute tactical masterclass from start to finish from Cristian Chivu, outclassing Maurizio Sarri. And I know that Sarri and Lazio are in a delicate situation. For me, it was about the tactical quality and the game plan that was executed to the T, because Inter beat Lazio using their heads, their brains, controlling their emotions and using their brains. The way that just an example of that, started off the game with a high intensity, high press, pinning Lazio down the wings, as well as centrally, cohesive press, but when necessary, slowing the tempo of the game down in order to be able to maintain the intensity and height of the press, which is a very difficult thing to do. And Inter executed that brilliantly. Another thing is the movement, the fluidity with which the players shifted position, the way that they oriented themselves on the pitch was looking like the best it ever had at times during Inzaghi, when there was this positional dance. He was basically, he's not done anything new. He's tweaked, and he's been able to reinvigorate and re-energize this Inter, and which leads me nicely to the second point, which is what Chivu has done. It's one thing to get angry and yell and scream at your players after poor performances, as Chivu did after Hellas and the Champions League game. It's another thing to be able to couple that anger, quantify it by actual changes and impact on the pitch, which is what we saw against Lazio. That is usually, those things, all of the things I've mentioned are usually traits and qualities, characteristics, which are reserved for the best coaches in the world. Now, I'm not saying that Chivu is there yet. Far from it. It's way too soon. But if he continues down this path and continues on like this, then yes, we are talking about potentially a fantastic coaching career. It's way too soon to say that. But usually those traits are reserved for the best coaches in the world. And what he did in this game, which was just fascinating to watch, was, again, this was the first game under Chivu that Inter behaved like a big team from start to finish, imposing themselves psychologically, having an answer and a game plan to everything, having a game plan for every contingency, having read and being able to not be frantic but be in control, despite maybe having just 59% possession of the ball, as opposed to games where they had 60, 65, 68% possession, but weren't able to control proceedings. Here, there was no discussion. Inter were in control in both phases. And that is the most impressive feat for me of yesterday. The way that Inter controlled, the way that Inter defended, the way that they were cohesive in their press, the way that they were a unit. It was truly, truly remarkable. And it was very, very impressive. Very, very impressive.
Yeah, very, very impressive. I've been really, really impressed with Chivu. He's doing an amazing job. I think everybody seems happier, more relaxed. I think hungrier as well. I think things have gone stale a bit under Inzaghi, and that's nothing on Inzaghi. That's just natural. I think when a manager's been there for that long, things do go stale, and I think even Inter look better offensively. I thought they were good offensively under Inzaghi, but their chance conversion is definitely better. I mean, they got better attackers this season, to be fair.
Exactly.
So that helps. But
which brings me to one thing I wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you something as well. In my opinion, so far after match day 11, João Boni is the best signing in the Serie A. I can't think of a better signing so far this season than Boni. He has been unbelievable. I mean, the way that yesterday was just a blueprint. I think yesterday was basically the recipe for how he has improved Inter in both phases. His runs without the ball, the way that he offers an alternative, a passing alternative in every single situation when Inter have the ball, the way that he wins the ball with his back against the goal, his technical ability to dribble, his 1v1s, his passing, his movement, his intelligence of reading the game. I think without a doubt, so far, after match day 11, he's been the best signing of the Serie A.
No, I can't argue with that. I mean, certainly from the big teams. I mean, if you go through all the big teams, who is there? Who is there that has been better? I don't think you can find anyone else. Salamakers has been great for Milan, but he wasn't a sign-in; he was a return. So no, I think yeah, I think you're probably right. To be fair, on the other side, there hasn't been that many great signings. It's not been a good summer.
Which again ties to the quality we spoke about and the issues on the lack thereof. So.
Juventus disaster, Napoli largely a disaster. It's not been good. Lazio didn't even have a mercato. I mean, I think I think Chivu's doing a really, really great job, and I think that just Inter's numbers. I had a look at their underlying stats. I always look at underlying stats because they generally tell the truth over what will happen over the course of the season. Over time. Inter's, and I think after 11 games, it's long enough to kind of make some decent conclusions from that. Inter's goal and creation numbers this season, they're miles ahead of everyone else. I mean, they've got 26 goals. That's double most of the other teams in Serie A. I mean, Napoli 16, Juve 14, Milan 17, Roma joint top of the table with 12 goals. But Inter have the highest XG by a mile. It's exactly the same number of goals they've got. So it shows they're converting those chances, which goes to a quality point about their bringing in those two new attackers. Most shots by a mile, most shots on target by a mile, most shots inside the box in Serie A by a mile, most big chances by absolute light years. Have a look at the table on big chances this season. Inter are like double almost every other team in Serie A. So if they continue like this with these stats, Inter are going to win the league comfortably if they continue like this, because those underlying stats are so far ahead of everyone else. But The question is, can they
There
keep
is
it up?
one thing. The question mark for me now is, okay, Chivu passed this exam, and he's passed quite a few exams, but there is one left, and that is the scontri diretti, the direct rival stat, where Inter have 0 points. And with all due respect to Lazio and Roma, I don't consider them to be direct rivals for the Scudetto Inter's direct rivals. Those are Milan, Juve, and Napoli. Well, they have 0 points from two of those from those matches. Chivu now needs to deliver in the derby, and he goes up against Allegri. And that's kind of the next exam. Can he do it in the derby against Allegri? Can he win a point? Can he, this kind of performance, can he repeat that against Allegri?
When you said, can he do it? Whenever I hear those 3 words at the start of a sentence, can he do it? I just think of the Messi, Andy Gray with Messi. Can he do it on a cold, rainy night in Stoke?
No, but he needs to do it in a cold, rainy Milan night against Allegri.
To reach that next level.
Let me just finish the point.
Yeah.
And also the following games afterwards, because they're really, really difficult games in the Champions League. This is now where it starts to get tough. Inter are in an excellent position, mentally, physically, where they are in their form. Barella looks great. Çalhanoğlu is sublime. Carlos Augusto's never been better. Di Marco looks rejuvenated. Bastoni as well. Like, everyone looks in great form, except for maybe Lautaro, who's still somewhere in the middle. And of course, Denzel Dumfries, but I don't think that's got to do with form. I think that's got to do with the fact that Inter no longer play in a way that brings out his strengths. Inzaghi never used him in the build-up phase. Chivu does use him in the build-up phase. He's not very technically good. We know his deficiencies, and that's why he struggles. So that's expected. I don't
And even Dumfries has still got 3 goals this season, so it's not like he's doing.
The goals is fine, but I'm talking about in the play. I'm talking about in the build-up play, and he hasn't been as good.
I think things are good, Nima. I think things are great, Nima. And listen, even if you don't win these,
there are question marks there.
There's questions, but even if you don't win these games in against the direct rivals, if you beat everybody else, you're going to win the league. You don't win the league on your direct games generally, unless it's a really tight Serie A season. And as long as Napoli I think it's Napoli, potentially Milan, as long as those 2 are slipping up against the smaller teams, then you've got nothing to worry about, even if you don't necessarily win any of these big games. But let's move to Roma, because Roma are joint top at the moment, and they get another win. Again, not an amazing performance, but very solid, given very little away in defence, apart from, I think, a mistake from Ndika at 2-0 when Zaniolo should have scored. Again, very, very solid defensively. The defence is doing amazing. 5 conceded in 11 games, which is mad. It's best in the league. 6 clean sheets in 11 games. Gasperini's best ever defensive start, unsurprisingly, because he's not known as a defensive coach. So it's really bizarre. Only scored 12, which is kind of the lowest in the top half of the Serie A table, yet they're top of the league. They have no number 9 who's doing anything. They're basically playing without a striker. But the defense is doing great. Mancini, I have to say, has been maybe the best defender in Serie A this season, can we say?
Cristante and Mancini have been phenomenal. And this is no surprise, because we know Mancini came up through the ranks at Atalanta under Gasperini. Cristante was never better than under Gasperini at Atalanta. So, these are no surprises. These are players that are used to Gasperini, and Gasperini knows how to use them. What I'm most impressed about Roma is something that we've never really seen under Gasperini. I think that, yes, they haven't conceded as much, and they do have the best defense and so on, but they haven't been perfect defensively. There has been holes, and we saw that even against Udinese, where Atta skied a 1v1. Poor decision-making, lack of pace just throughout. But so there are weaknesses, but the issue is that they look stable still, despite these question marks and problems. And that's what's so impressive about Roma, is they look so stable and calm and not they look very much grounded, which is something that the Rome clubs have struggled with historically.
Ranieri? Do you think Ranieri is to do
I
with
think
that?
Ranieri, exactly. I think the calming influence of Claudio Ranieri since he entered the club, it's as if he came in there and just put out all fires, has everyone moving in the same direction. He's in control of everything going on, and everyone's pulling in the same direction. I don't think we can underestimate or overestimate rather the importance that Ranieri has had. And I just want to say, if I am Roma, to tie back to the positive aspect of the quality of the Serie A being as low as it is, this means that you can have a surprise winner of the Serie A. If everyone else is misfiring, or if they're not as good enough as they usually should be, or the level that they should be at, this opens up a door for a surprise winner. I think we saw that to a large extent last season with Napoli. But more than that, I think Roma have a golden opportunity here. They're not going to get a chance like this. And they don't have any money to spend because of the ridiculous impositions of the the UEFA financial fair play.
Absolute joke. Let me just come in. Joke. Absolute joke. Yeah. Roma keep getting punished like this, where you've got Man City with this ridiculous
PSG,
case going over 100 charges against them that just keeps getting kicked into the long grass.
They're never going to, but they're not going to be able to strengthen in January. It's going to be really difficult, and they're probably going to have to sell some of their most important players in June to make ends meet to avoid being punished by UEFA as well. So
also Barcelona over $1 billion in debt, and they're allowed to continue going as if
pulling levers like a cartoon. But regardless, be that as it may, this is the reality Roma find themselves in. If I am Roma, this is a golden chance. Roma have 27 finals to do something historic. That's how I view it. If I view this from a Giallorossi perspective, you have 27 finals to do something historic here. I would punt every other competition, from the Europa League to the Coppa Italia. Ignore it. Send in the kids. Focus on the Serie A. I'm looking at the fixture list coming up. It's not too bad. The more they can push this charge, the more they can stay at the top, the more they can go level with Inter and continue doing this, the more belief will set in. And then you're in a situation where you are actually able to perform a miracle. And that's winning the Serie A would be a miracle by Roma. Well, if I am them, I am focusing laser charge, because even if you don't win the league, you'll get to the Champions League. You'll finish in the top 4, which is also an overachievement. Not a huge overachievement, but an overachievement nonetheless. So for me, when I look at this from a Roma perspective, my angle is this: focus entirely and solely on the league. Because Roma, just like Napoli, when they're buzzing, they can, when they're filled with optimism, they fly off into space, and that's what needs to be managed here.
Yeah, they need to ride the wave, is what you're saying.
They need to ride the wave, but they need to stay grounded, and above all, they need to take advantage of this golden opportunity that they've given themselves.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The only thing I would say is, Gasperini says we're dreaming of the Scudetto, which is great to see. But again, don't want to be negative here, but I'm looking at the underlying stats, and they're overperforming massively.
They are.
And the numbers tell you this won't continue. They're overperforming their expected points by 5. They should be 5 points less, and they would be in 6th place if that was the case, right? They're overperforming their expected. So we're talking about them having the best defensive record in Serie A with 5 goals conceded. They're actually overperforming their expected goals against by 5 goals. So they should have double the number of goals conceded.
Which is an unbelievable output. It's these things happen. These anomalies happen once in a blue moon, and that's exactly what I mean about this is a golden opportunity for Roma.
Yeah, but over the course of a season, if they continue playing as they are, it's not going to continue. It just doesn't. You can't continue. You can't do this over 10 games, maybe even 20 games. It can happen. You can ride against the truth, but over the course of a season, no. But that doesn't mean they can't do it. It just means they need to play better. You know, and that's.
But
so
I
that's
have seen encouraging signs, and I'm not, you know, I think the last few games we're seeing a Roma that is kind of adapting more into the Gasperini reality of pushing forward and creating more better movement.
The first 38 minutes against Milan was actually the best I saw them in the season.
Yeah.
I thought they were outstanding, and then they just fell apart for 20 minutes. But you know, it's great. Anyway, it's great to see. And listen, if Roma win the Scudetto, it would be, like you said, it would be an amazing story.
Look, if we're talking about the Serie A in terms of, from a neutral point of view, in terms of marketability and sellability, Roma winning the Serie A would be the best thing to happen to Serie A, because no one expected it. Everybody loves an underdog story. Gasperini's never won it before, blah, 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 blah. From a neutral, objective point of view, Roma winning the Scudetto is probably the best thing that can happen to this.
No, absolutely. It goes against the whole, the way that football is nowadays, that it's dominated by a few super clubs, or a few big clubs in each league, and everybody else is just you know, cannon fodder. And so that would be great as well.
But in order for that to happen, there's certain things that need to happen. Mancini and Cristante have to be injury free. And more importantly, Sule has to step up. He has a golden chance here because he's going to be played. He is a starter. He is who they're building around. He needs to improve his output. He needs to improve his read and decision-making in games and really lift this Roma into, you know, the Mount Olympus.
They need a 9. They need a 9 as well. They can't. You can't go the whole season with playing like this without a 9. It's ridiculous. This is just not. You're going to get games where you're goalless. You can't keep. You can't keep.
They
going
need to
on
just
that.
loan somebody in January.
Yeah,
just
they need to sign
someone.
Goal
scorer. I mean, if it's possible to loan Mauro Icardi, even. You know what I mean? Just if you ignore the
Zirkzee is the one I think that they would like.
Yeah, Zirkzee, like someone who just scores goals. Like that's all they're missing. If you ignore all the nonsense and off the pitch stuff, they need a natural goal scorer. If they can find someone who can just put the ball into the back of the net, just simple finishes. Doesn't need to be anything extravagant.
Well, talking about putting the ball in the back of the net, that's something that Napoli can't do. Horrible week for them. 3 games in a row without scoring. 0-0. 0-0, and then 0-2 against Bologna. I'm sorry, look, I'm just going to get straight to the point with Napoli. We're just seeing the same old story with Antonio Conte. Playing twice a week, he can't do it. I'm sorry, history repeating itself again. He cannot do it. It's that's it. No ifs, buts. Oh, this could be the season where he changes. He's 56 years old. It's the story of his whole career. 1 game a week, best coach in the world. As soon as he's playing 2 games a week, he's in Europe, he cannot do it. He doesn't know how to rotate, number one. He played the same team in this game against Bologna that he played in the Champions League in midweek, in a game in which Napoli already looked exhausted and without ideas and struggled to create and score, or didn't score. So why the hell are you playing the same 11 in an even harder game away against the Bologna team that are in really good form, unbeaten for a long time? You know, we know they're a tough team. We're seeing a Napoli team that looks really tired. It looks exhausted. It looks poorly conditioned. Again, going back to that point before about Serie A teams being badly conditioned, especially when they're playing more games. Of course, the injuries haven't helped as well. But why are there all these injuries? That's on Antonio Conte. Antonio Conte just does not know how to manage 2 competitions, whether that's rotating his players, whether that's how he trains his players so that he has them in the optimal condition to play all these games. He just doesn't know how to play 2 competitions. I don't actually think it's specifically, he can't do it in Europe. And obviously Napoli are struggling to qualify. Yeah, I don't think it's he can't do it in Europe. It's he can't manage a team playing every 3 days. He doesn't know how to do it. I'm sorry. That's it. It's all over. The case is closed now on Antonio Conte. He can't do it. This is the proof.
I don't know if it's that in this instance. It could be that. I mean, the history is there. No one can deny that. But for me, it's something else. And I think I've never heard him talk like that, almost defeated. And this ties back again to a couple of weeks ago when Capello said he's never seen Conte this deflated and this lack of energy on the sidelines. I mean, this quote from him is extraordinary. You know, when he says, "It pains me after winning the Scudetto to even mention the specter of finishing 10th again, but we must reflect. I will talk with the club. Right now, we're doing the bare minimum, and there's not yet the desire to fight together the way there was last year. It hurts me because I don't know if we'll be able to change this. It means I'm not doing a good enough job because I haven't entered into the players' heads. The club must know this, and they already do. Something has to be done because I have no intention of just accompanying a dead body. I'm the first one who must take responsibility." I've never heard him say this before. I've never heard him just basically saying, you know what, maybe I should go. Maybe I'm the problem. Then if I'm the problem, I'll happily leave and bring someone else who can do better because clearly I'm not doing a good enough job. I've never heard him say this before. I've never heard him talk like this. And again, a couple of weeks ago in the Champions League, when everyone was saying what's happened to Conte, he's not the same Conte as before. He doesn't have the same energy.
Capello said that, yeah.
Yeah. And it's fascinating because this suggests to me that there is something else happening there. There's something else that he feels that just coming out and yelling and screaming at them doesn't even work anymore because he can't get them on board. And that is very worrying. Maybe this is a tactic by him to wake the players up and say, you know what, if you want me out, then get me out. I'll leave. No worries. Because that's what he's saying. If you read between the lines, he's essentially saying, I'll tear up the contract and walk.
I never know how much to read into what Conte says because we know what he's like. When a result goes against him or something, even when the results are not going against him, but something that he's not happy with.
No, but then it's different. Then he's angry.
Moans.
Yeah, but listen, that's different. I've never seen him like this. Usually he's angry. He blames the sun, the earth, the moon, the wind, the stars, the coach, the everything. But this is not him. This is literally him saying, I can't, admitting in a most extraordinary way, I can't, I'm failing and they're not listening. It's my fault.
He's blaming himself, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen this. And it's truly remarkable. I've never seen it. It's truly remarkable. And whether this is a tactic or this is a sign of something else, which Capello picked up on very astutely, even though he's like 150 years old, he's still very, very sharp. It's not a Joe Biden situation. He's very, very sharp. He knows exactly what he's doing in terms of picking up on things. And he picked up on this first before anyone. And it's remarkable to see him say these things in the manner in which he says them. He's so calm, almost dejected when he says it. And this is uncharted territory. I've never seen Conte like this. Never. Ever.
Yeah, usually when you've given up, you're just like, oh, whatever. Do you know what I mean? You're indifference. Indifference is the last, usually if you're still, I know what you mean. I mean, listen, that Napoli have lost 3 games this season in 11. They lost 4 in the whole of last season. And so that's already tells you a lot. 3 games in a row without scoring. The team looks so flat, which I blame on Conte because he doesn't know how to manage his team and get them in condition every 3 days. But again, I come to the attack. It's so toothless. 0.26 XG in this game. I don't want to repeat myself here because I've already said this last week. So just go back to the last Monday show. But the attack. The attack looks weaker this season, despite over 100 million spent. That shouldn't be the case. And again, Højlund's hold-up play not good enough. They're crying out for Lukaku, but some of the other attackers are not doing it. They're not.
If you're talking about Roma wanting Zirkzee, if anyone should want Zirkzee, it's Napoli.
Well, you'd think Lukaku will be back in December, but then he needs to get back in form. He'll have missed almost half the season. He's getting a bit older as well. He's 32, going to be 33. So there's lots of question marks, and the midfield's decimated. The defense was really poor in this game. That was one of the only positives from the previous 2 games. The defense has started to look more solid. Then in this game, it wasn't solid. Di Lorenzo, I don't know. Again, I'm just repeating myself. Di Lorenzo, one-on-one, gets done by Cambiaghi. Di Lorenzo, incapable of stopping a cross come in. He never closes down crosses. He just rolls out the red carpet and says, "There you go, just put a cross in." He does it every single time. It drives me mad. He shouldn't be. He's going to be in the Italy squad now. He shouldn't be playing for Italy. Probably poor from Milinkovic-Savic getting beaten on his near post like that as well. And Giorno, because I know that you're very big on studying him. For me, for someone that's so big, but I mean, not just what's happened generally, but I'm talking about defending crosses. Someone so big and good in the air, he doesn't defend crosses well enough at all for me, and he gets beaten for that second one as well.
His timing is so off. Like, the timing of him to anticipate crosses and aerial balls is just off, and it's astonishing. I'm really just I don't.
Mad, isn't it?
I'm just yeah.
Do Napoli need to go out of Europe to win the Scudetto again?
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt. I think not to win the Scudetto, they need to get out of Europe immediately so that he can get back to basics again. Like, you know what I mean? They need, if Conte is to continue with Napoli, unless he resigns, I think absolutely they need to get out of Europe. There's no doubt about that.
What a sad state of affairs, isn't it? And there's me and you at the beginning of the season saying, Conte, is he getting to the prime of his career? Is he going to finally turn things around? And well, he's still got time to turn it around. They've got to win their next 2 games in Europe. But, we haven't spoken since the last week. Again, failing to win that game at home against Frankfurt, it's just not good enough.
Can't create. And just, they're not on the same page. Conte's teams are a marching band, as a friend of mine once said. And he's the conductor. Well, the instruments are out of tune, and they're not in tune with their conductor, and that's why it looks the way it does.
Well, the conductor for Bologna is doing great.
I want to talk about that. We have to talk about Bologna. This is, and I wanted to ask you what you think right now, or in the calendar year of 2025. Is there a better coach in Serie A than Vincenzo Italiano? I don't think so.
In terms of consistency, if you take last season with this season, I think you can make that argument. But what I would say to answer your question, what I would say for sure is Vincenzo Italiano is ready for a big club in Serie A.
Yeah, after this season, yeah.
There's no doubt about that now, because they're 1 point behind Napoli. I think they're 3 points off the top of the table.
3 points off top spot.
It's
with
amazing.
A team that has no business being there.
No, and has again, no business at all.
It's not just that. It's also the fact that all the things I've been critical of him in the past when he was at Fiorentina, well, since February of 2025 and onwards, we've not seen that. They're so defensively solid. They are so cohesive and unit and defend as a unit. They attack as a unit. That every player understands the system.
They lost Bookma as well, and the names. I mean, again, like look at the Mercato. They had a terrible.
Lost Doy.
Yeah, their Mercato was horrible Mercato, and the team they put together, like you said, no business at all. But you watch their games, watch how they play. They
good. It's
so good. He's ready. He's ready for one of the bigger Serie A teams, or even one of the bigger European clubs. No, he's ready.
I wouldn't go that. I think I'd want to see him at one of.
Well, I want to see him in Serie A. I don't want to lose him either. We don't want to lose him from Serie A, but
Yeah, but I'm not sure. I don't think he's ready for the Premier League just yet, or Spain just yet. I think he should go to. I mean, if I were Juventus or Napoli, I'd move heaven and earth to get him. I mean, you have Simone Inzaghi and Vincenzo Italiano potentially free. You go after them, instead of recycling Mancini and Spalletti, with all due respect to them, who I love their careers. I think they're fantastic tradesmen, skilled tradesmen. But if you're looking to do something new, you have Inzaghi, you have Italiano available, you go after them. If I'm we know that Aurelio De Laurentiis' wet dream has been Vincenzo Italiano. I think at the end of this season, if Napoli don't win the Scudetto, if they're not even in the Scudetto race, if they don't do anything in Europe, you look at Conte and you shake hands and say, thank you, Antonio, for this time. And you move heaven and earth and you bring Vincenzo Italiano in.
I have to say also, Lucumi, absolutely outstanding. We're talking about best centre-back in Serie A this season with Mancini. Lucumi's right up there. Absolutely brilliant. The guy is so good. You can't go past him. You can't beat him for pace. He reads the game well, and he scored. And he scored aerially. He scored his first ever goal in Serie A. He's outstanding.
He's so good aerially. Yeah. Now listen, the way they play, the way that he interprets games. I mean, the way that he has, simple things like he inverts Orsolini to become this kind of central midfielder, and that's why they scored as well. And the way that he cuts in, and just the way that they confuse players, and the positional shifts.
And they lost two players from injury in this game as well. And this was a lovely story that Skorupski injured after 5 minutes, taking a free kick. Again, coming back to the conditioning point in Serie A, how many players are getting injured from standing kicks this season? It's a joke. De Bruyne and Dybala, both from taking penalties. Skorupski just from doing a kick, from a standing kick, free kick. I mean, it shouldn't be happening. I'm sorry. It should not be happening. That's not just bad luck. That's bad preparation and conditioning of the players. It is. Simple as that. You don't get an injury from a standing kick unless there's something going on there. But anyway, great story about Massimo Pessina, 17 years old, professional debut.
Beautiful, wasn't it?
Lovely story. And I love seeing the scenes at the end where everybody's giving him the bumps
crying and it was beautiful. No, it was a wonderful thing to see.
Right, Atalanta, horrific performance by Atalanta, deservedly beaten 3-0 at home by Sassuolo. First of all, Domenico Berardi show. Just talk about him quickly before we talk about Juric. 2 goals, 1 assist. That assist was magical. We're talking about dreadful play and attacking play in the Serie A. Well, this was one of the kind of like few moments of magic that we've seen in Serie A this weekend. Wow, that assist is amazing. Was it a nutmeg he did, I think, on Samadzic? And then, amazing. So it's beautiful to see Berardi back. And could he even work his way back into the Italy squad for the playoffs? I mean, given the alternatives, I wouldn't completely rule it out. But amazing from Berardi. But Juric, I think he's gone, isn't he, Nima? I think Pedula says it's almost certain he's going to be sacked. I mean, it's difficult to.
Well, I think Percassi, they're looking at the situation and they're going, well, Palladino's available. And so it's not a tactical issue as such. It's a results issue and it's an atmosphere issue. Again, another fallout with Lookman, between Juric and Lookman. This time, I don't blame Lookman. I blame Juric. There was no need for him to go up and show up in Lookman's face like that.
But he said something to him. But he did say something. He shouldn't have put his hands on him. But I mean, he said something to him. He mouthed off and said something. He reacted to something Lookman said.
Yeah, but he was shaking his head.
No, I don't think Lookman's without blame. I'm saying he shouldn't have reacted
in this situation. I don't blame Lookman. Let me put it to you that way. I think in this situation, a player being disappointed coming off is one thing. But for you to actively go and seek out the player,
he sought out the player. I agree there. But Lookman. What I'm saying is Lookman's not without blame, because Lookman, obviously, we don't know what he said, but he obviously said something disrespectful, insulted the coach, and I just think that's something we've seen from Lookman before. Like Lookman, if this keeps happening to Lookman, then there's also some element of blame to him. But anyway. I think, you're right. If you're falling out with your star player, then that's obviously when the rest of the situation is the way it is. It's not going to help you. And the numbers speak for themselves. They're 13th in the table. There's 7 games without a win in Serie A. 2 defeats in a row, and both of those defeats against teams, towards the bottom, Sassuolo or lower teams. And Udinese, and both those defeats have been dreadful performances. Dreadful. So they're way underperforming, and their attacking numbers in this game, the last 2 games, dreadful. 0.31 xG, 0.79 xG. It's not good enough. 15 games this season. In only 3 games have they scored more than 1 goal. And he's not getting the best out of his attackers. Lookman, De Ketelaere, Scamacca, Kristovic. How many goals have these players got? Lookman's got 1. De Ketelaere's been awful this season. He's got 2. Ederson, no goals. Samadzic hasn't really found. He scored an amazing goal against Marseille. Actually, Atalanta played well against Marseille. But Samadzic,
I just wanted to say, if you talk about anti-Italian discrimination, Atalanta got away with murder against Marseille. That goal should never have stood. The build up to that.
Oh, the penalty.
I mean, Jesus, mother of God. That's a penalty, if anything. So they got away with one.
But they played well. They played well in that game.
They did. They played well.
To win. It's weird.
They did.
Strange.
And Marseille are a good team, and De Zerbi, as you know, it's an interesting proposition. But look, for me, it's obvious that it's not a tactical issue. The appointment of Juric was in line with how they want to play, and the fact that Palladino has been close to, as we're recording this, more and more reporters, Di Marzio, Pedolai, everyone else is saying, Skira, everyone is saying it's just a matter of time before Juric gets sacked and Palladino comes in. It just follows the line. They're basically looking at continuing what they've built, but the same tactical mold. They're just looking for a personnel shift, and they want someone who's a bit more positive, I think. I think Juric has not had an easy situation, but he's not exactly handled it really well either. And then that means that he's kind of lost a dressing room. And when you've lost a dressing room, then it's time for a manager to go. It's as simple as that. And it seems to me he's lost a dressing room. And there's no.
I think that they're looking at the results, and they're not just here, but again, like I think I said last week, that Juric had 4 wins in his last 30 matches at Roma, Southampton, and Atalanta. You're looking at that and you're thinking, can we trust this manager to turn things around on the back of these results? The results for Atalanta, the form of 7 without a win, and they just comes and with this off the stuff as well, and just say like, we're hedging our bets. We can't trust him. Having said that, though, am I sold on Palladino? No, I'm not. I'm not sold on Palladino, but I think Atalanta have more than enough quality to be at least fighting for Champions League, not to be in 13th place, and almost in danger of being out of the Champions League.
I think Palladino he's a clever guy. He plans his moves very carefully. It seems this is a brilliant opportunity for him. If he doesn't do really well at Atalanta, then we can talk about, because he's a question mark. I think there's lots of interesting things there, but there's also some weaknesses. Atalanta is really the best squad and club that he will have coached, and the best place he could have landed after Fiorentina and after Monza. If he can't unlock there, then then we need.
My issue with Palladino is I've never seen what his identity is. I don't know. Like you say, ask me and say, right, what kind of football does he play? What's his style of play? I mean,
he's another player that is in the mold of the Gasperini school of intensity and press, but he's kind of like I agree with you. He doesn't have he's much more pragmatic.
I never saw that in terms of the attacking wise, anyway. Offensively, like patterns. I mean, but then again, like he got the best out of Moise Kean. And that's what they need to do, because they haven't been scoring goals, and in the last few games they haven't been creating. They were creating early on the season, but maybe the Gasperini print's wearing off now, and as a result, the Juric struggles that we've seen in his career has come through. So Palladino needs to, we'll see how he does. Juventus, Turin derby. This wasn't a good game at all. Juventus dominated possession. Dominated territory. I think they had 73% possession, but they didn't create enough clear chances. I think McKennie had a couple of big chances, big-ish.
Well, they created enough to win. The problem is they can't score.
Enough. Just about enough to win, but I mean, I don't think they created that many clear-cut chances. Like if you watch the how many clear-cut chances, McKennie should have had one, but he slipped. He had a header, which he maybe should have scored. Conceição made a chance on his own. He cut in just wide. Not really enough. I mean, yes, they probably had just about enough to deserve a 1-goal win, maybe, but it wasn't. I thought Torino defended very deep. They were very negative, but they defended well. Torino. I want to give some praise to Torino. I thought their back 3 was outstanding. I thought Maripan especially was excellent. Ismaili really good, but they defended well. And they had probably the biggest chance of the game, actually, Torino, with Adams when Di Gregorio made a great save. But yes, the problem that Juventus have is that they played a back 3 again, and Spalletti hinted at the end of the game that he's going to go to a back four, which is kind of what I always expected. Once the international break comes, after the international break, they'll move to a back four, and then we can really judge Spalletti. So I don't want to make any real big judgments based on these first games because he's playing with a system that's not his. So I expect them to go to a back four. But what he needs to sort out is the lack of goals in this team, because aside from Vlahovic, who had a bad game but has looked a bit better recently and has been more of a goal threat recently, the other nines, I mean, I'm sorry, but Jonathan David and Openda, they're just a joke. They've got one goal all season between them on match day one, and that was match day one. How many goals a season do I mean, you look at this Juventus team and it's like, where are the goals in this team? I mean, you know, how many goals do the midfielders in Juventus midfielders got in them? How many do the fullbacks get? The strikers are not scoring. You know, Yildiz hasn't scored for 10 goals. So, you know, there's not enough variety of goals in the team. This is a team that don't really have a threat from set pieces, from headers. You know, compare it to Inter. Look through the Inter team. There's goals all the way through the team. There's goal-scoring players in the attack, in midfield. You know, you look at Juventus and you think, where are the goals going? There just isn't enough goal-scoring players. So that's a problem of how the team's been constructed. And this is where, you know, Spalletti has to really find a way to get the team scoring. Yildiz is a concern, his form, because last 10 games, Kenan Yildiz has 0 goals, 0 assists. His last goal contribution was 2 months ago. Now, he's had a bit of a chronic injury, which has limited him to do with his knee. It's kind of like a patella tendinopathy, I think is the way of saying it, which he's managed since last season. And that is a bit of a concern. Whenever you've got a chronic injury, it is a concern because they're hard to get rid of. So they need to get that sorted. So that's obviously played a role. But Juventus need more from him, because this season, and we both said it at the start of the season, we predicted this would be his real breakthrough season where he would explode, where he'd become, you know, a 15 to 20 goal a season player, 15 assists. Like, this would be, you know, he would explode. And he started the season really well. He got 2 goals, 4 assists, I believe, in the first 4 games. He had those magical performances against Inter, against Borussia Dortmund. It was looking great. And he's really fallen away badly. Really fallen away badly. And in this game, he was playing too far away from goal. I expected Spalletti to put him closer to goal. He was hugging the touchline like he was for Thiago Motta. So, again, I don't want to make any conclusions because, again, I think the system will change to a back four. But that is what Spalletti needs to get Yildiz firing, because, yeah, if we're talking about, you know, players, Yildiz has got off lightly, put it that way. People haven't been talking about him. But when you've got the so-called new star of Serie A not scoring or assisting in 10 games, that's not good enough. That's not good enough at all. And the spotlight deservedly should be put on Yildiz for not performing. Did you want to come in there before I hammer David and Openda?
No, I think it's I think the biggest problem that Juventus did was that they didn't get Colomwani. I think he would have been perfect for the 3-4-2-1. And it's interesting that Spalletti continues with a 3-4-2-1 and that Juventus actually play like a big team and impose themselves, and they find balance in a 3-4-2-1. Spalletti making a back three work at Juve after failing miserably in Italy, playing a back three is just one of those most ironic things that can ever happen in football history. And is crazy. But yeah, no, look, Openda is unwatchable right now. He has no. I think there I have a quality concerns. Jonathan David, I think, depends on what you want him to be. He's a goal scorer. He's not going to do anything but score goals. The problem is he has no confidence. He has no belief in himself. Like, his confidence is so shot to shit that he looks scared. And when a striker looks scared.
Do you know what the cost of Jonathan David and Openda was for Juventus this summer? Because people say, oh yeah, but Jonathan David, he was a free transfer. No, he wasn't a free transfer. Jonathan David cost Juventus it's going to cost Juventus around 60 million euros, something around that region, because he's on 6 million net per year. So your maths is better than me. What's that in gross? In
Well, I
around
mean,
10
there
million?
is the Decreta Crescita, so I think they get like a tax rebate on that. So it's not 12. I think it's around 9 net a year then.
Okay, so
Then you
if
also got a sign-on bonus and the agent bonus and all
yes.
that.
So Jonathan David. So if it's 9 million a year, 5-year deal, 9 times 5. So Jonathan David's 45 million a year plus 2 million in bonuses that he got. So let's call that 49. Let's call that 50 million, right? 50 million is his salary over the next 5 years, plus
Gross,
a 12.5 million in agent and commission fees. So Jonathan David will cost Juventus over 60 million euros. Now, Openda, the transfer fee was over 40 million. I think it's around 43 to 45 million. So between the two of them, Jonathan David, and that's before we even get to Openda's salary, by the way. So between the two of them, Openda and David have cost Juventus over 100 million euros. I mean, when you're talking about throwing money away, that is absolutely obscene. They've got 1 goal between them. David has just been a joke. And Openda, I'm sorry, but Openda, if you watch Openda play, if you've watched Openda play for Juventus, he looks like someone who's never played football before. And honestly, that's being kind. He looks like, like when you get like a rugby player to kick a ball, he honestly looks like he's never kicked the ball before. He's got the technique of kicking through the ball.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can't believe.
I really think that
what I've seen from him.
I think that, for me, Colomwani is the one. I don't understand why they didn't go after him. Like why they didn't sign Colomwani. He would have worked. I think he would have worked much better in this system. Yeah.
None of the Juventus players have scored from open play in Serie A for 49 days. And yeah, so that Spalletti has a job on his hands getting these attackers working, and especially Openda and David. Yeah, and again, comes down to the Mercato again. I mean, 100 million on over these two players. I mean, it's unbelievable. The one positive was Zagrova looked good when he come on. He's had a chronic injury, long-term injury. They need to get him fit. I think there's a player in there with Zagrova. He can beat his man. He can run at them. He's lively. Yeah, but they need to get him fit. Too many injuries. And Thuram was good as well. Yeah. But yeah, not good enough from Juventus though overall. But let's wait until after the international break with the back four. Then let's judge Spalletti and this Juventus. That's all I want to say.
Yeah.
Milan though, throwing away a 2-goal lead. They were 2 up. Looked so comfortable, and then I don't know. I'm not sure really what happened to Milan. They just fell apart. I mean, Bernabé scored an amazing goal. Let's just say it was a beautiful curler, top corner. But then there they fell apart. I mean, Allegri said it himself. They collapsed, I think he said. And Parma had chance after chance before they got the 2-2. They missed at least 2 sitters to make it 2-2. Yeah, really bad defending from Milan. I don't know what happened.
One thing that is, I mean, if we talk about the negative of this, if we talk about Milan from a negative aspect and then talk about the positive aspect, the negative aspect is exactly like Allegri said, throwing away points to small teams, Pisa, Cremonese, Parma, and then meanwhile doing really well against the big teams. That is a problem, and that's something that he's pissed off about. He's not happy about that at all. And he spoke about that as well. That is a concern. And it's strange because I thought they would do better against the smaller teams given the way they play and their underlying stats and stuff like that. But it's just that the fallout has not been there, which is strange. And then you kind of and then you look at this game. For me, it was a collapse in one aspect, but it was very interesting to see. And I like to segue into the positive, like Salamakers and Leao right now. I mean, just start with Alexis Salamakers. He looks like he's playing. Remember that game, FIFA Street? When Salamakers plays, he looks like he's playing FIFA Street. Like he's got this kind of this technical ability this raw technical ability 1v1, which you see people playing, if you ever seen people play football in the hood on the concrete, like, do you know what I mean? Like in the favelas, like he's got this kind of FIFA Street aura about him, where he just teases the other guy and technically humiliates his opposition and does these crazy little flick-ons. But he's also becoming really concrete in terms of goals and assists. Yes, he missed a sitter after a brilliant turn where he humiliated Suzuki. And the goal that he scored, Suzuki should have saved. But he's playing so well, and he's going to be an absolute handful for teams, including Inter after the international break. Now, I'm really impressed by Salamakers. But secondly, Raffaele Leao. I don't think I've ever seen Raffaele Leao in better physical and psychological mental condition than right now. He looks in mint, pristine condition. He's put on muscle, but he's not lost his explosiveness. He's not lost his dynamism. He looks comfortable in a way that I've never seen him do it. He's the natural reference point at Milan. And everyone just plays around him. The flick on for Pulisic is just out of this world. I thought the second half, he was a monster against Parma. He was brilliant.
He did one amazing flick for the Pulisic chance.
Not just the amazing flick, the way that his movement, his link up, his passing, his interpretation of the role, the way that he makes everyone around him better and puts them in different. Now, look, I'm really, really blown away by Leao this season, and I still feel that given that he's just come back from injury, there's still another gear for him to click into, because I'm not talking about him being the most in form I've ever seen him. No, I'm talking about his condition, mentally and physically. He looks in pristine condition. The way that he looks so comfortable in his body, on the pitch, his movement, the way that he just seems happy to be at Milan, and just this is how he wants things to be. And if he can start, if the others around him can capitalize on what he creates, then Milan are in a very good place. And again, 2-2 away to Parma is not great, but it's also not bad. If you can still win points when things aren't clicking, and like they did against Roma, they went for 38 minutes, they were outplayed, but then they still won. I mean, if you can still pick up points doing that, that's an important growth for a team like Milan. Because you have to remember where Milan were. This isn't the finished product. Milan are in year one.
Depends what you want from them, Nima. If they want to be a Scudetto challenger, they have to beat Pisa, Cremonese, and Parma. It's as simple as that.
They should be beating Pisa, Cremonese, and Parma regardless. Yeah. But I'm zooming out and looking at, where they are.
Do I think this team is on paper? Do I think this team are good enough to win the Scudetto? They shouldn't be expected to win the Scudetto with this team. There's too many weak players. Like that back line on paper, player for player, is not Scudetto winning defense. It's not. Simple as that. Then you've got others. You've got Estupinan. You've got, Ricci's a backup player. These are not Scudetto level players, in my opinion. They've got class. They've got some top class players, like Modric, like Leao, like, I think Pulisic, they've got quality play, Magnon, they've got other quality, but there's too many players who are not Scudetto level players for us to sit here and say they should be, that they can win the Scudetto. But because they're playing once a week, they have a chance. But, so it depends how you look at it. But if they want to win the Scudetto, you have to win these games. Simple
you do.
As that.
But the positive thing, as the positive thing is for Napoli, is that they're just 2 points off the pace, which is nothing on match day 11. So the fallouts, compared to overall, has been pretty good, but they're not the finished product. I mean, one of, in Italian football term, the percorso. I think Milan are in the beginning of their percorso, and I think the fallout, the results have been good, all things considered. But there is, of course, margin for improvement. And like you said, winning the Scudetto would be miraculous because they're not good enough to win the Scudetto. I think there's at least 2 teams ahead of them qualitatively on paper. But they do have some match winners. They do have some quality players, and they those can be the decisive tipping point. And Sailor-makers becoming potentially one of those match winners is truly remarkable. I did not ever think that I would say that, but
yeah. The only other thing I wanted to say was the penalty for, and I forgot to say before, we're talking about dreadful refereeing. Højlund should have been sent off for Napoli first with a clear elbow, blatant elbow. I don't know how the VAR doesn't pick that up and give that as a red card. That's number one. And then I thought it was bizarre, the whole workings around this penalty. So for Sailor-makers. Now, for starters, what I think should be a penalty, my own personal belief, not what the rules are, this should not be a penalty. Is a bit like the Di Lorenzo one versus Inter, to the extent that, yes, there is a touch of the knees, but it's not enough contact for me to be a penalty. Also, I think in this case, Sailor-makers, I'm not saying he's looking for the contact, but he moves across the defender, and the defender, there's really nothing he can do. You can't blame the defender because he's moved across his path, away from goal as well, I should add. Now, okay, the penalty gets given, whatever. When the VAR calls it over, it calls the referee over. Now, as I understand the protocol, generally, now I don't agree with this, that this is the format, but the protocol is that if there's any kind of contact, usually they'll never call over the referee to look at it.
The reason they called him over is because he Saelemaekers exaggerates the impact of the contact. Of course, there's contact there, but he exaggerates it, and you were calling Esposito a diver for doing exactly that. So, all players do it. They exaggerated the impact of the contact, whether it's a penalty or not. I don't think it was a penalty. I'm surprised at the way Di Bello handled this. The fact that he was called over and said, look, you need to look at this. And he does. And he's like, no, I'm sticking by my first situation, but by my first decision. This is again Rocky. We're so confused. The protocol is that the referee decides regardless. No one can overrule. They can recommend. It's called recommend an on-field review. The referee can decide to overrule that. But it is a bit strange.
But usually, what I'm saying is, usually the protocol is if there's any kind of contact, they won't turn it around, even if that penalty, like with the ridiculous Atalanta one with Club Brugge last season, where there was a little bit of contact, even though it was just a tickle, and they say, well, because there was a tickle, because there was a touch, we're not gonna even recommend a review, and so that's why I'm surprised they called him over.
We'll know once we watch the open VAR, but I think from looking at it, they feel probably they're thinking that Saelemaekers is diving or exaggerating the contact, because the contact is there. But whether or not how that is implied is again down to Rocky and how he communicates internally to his referees. And Di Bello,
okay. Also,
it is up to the discretion of the referee to follow a recommendation. It doesn't need to. He's the one who decides it.
Yeah, okay. So, I wasn't impressed by Nkunku either. He needs to do more. Rest of the fixtures, Pisa 1, Cremonese 0, first win of the season for Pisa. Lecce 0, Hellas Verona 0, Como 0, Cagliari 0. Yeah, just a very quick point I want to make on Como is yet another draw for them. And Fabregas spoke about this, that they struggle to break down low blocks. They're better versus the big teams who open up. I think that's spot on. But I think the biggest reason for that, again, going back to the lack of number 9s, striker crisis in Serie A, is Como don't have a number 9. Alvaro Morata, I think that you have to ask the question, is Alvaro Morata finished? What has happened to him? He's got no goals this season. He missed an open goal in this game, 2 yards out. Don't know how he misses it, straight at Caprile. I think he's 33 now, and he is costing Como. Como are losing points because of Alvaro Morata, because they don't have a number 9. And he's always had quite a bit of a weak mentality throughout his career. And I don't mean that in a horrible way, because I know he's spoken openly about kind of, depression and those kind of issues he's had off the pitch. So I don't want to be misunderstood when I say this, but I think he is somebody that defenders can get to him. And I thought that it was a little bit concerning that he basically asked to be substituted in this game just because Yerry Mina was kind of pushing him around and bullying him. And he asked to be substituted in this game, which I think is very worrying. And if Como want to kind of try and go as far as they can this season and even challenge for the Champions League, which I think they're capable of challenging for the Champions League, not necessarily getting it, but challenging. They need a 9, because they're getting nothing from their striker at the moment. And Morata, he's just way off it. Morata.
I think his time at the very top is over, and I think we already saw that last season. I don't think it's very much I don't think there's much to say other than that. Whether it's mentality or what it is, I don't know. But I just think that it's clear that it's over. He at this level. I don't think he's got what it takes to play at this level anymore. Unfortunately, I always liked Alvaro Morata. He's one of my favorite players. I thought he was very, very poorly treated and ridiculed for no reason. I think he's got so much football in him. But I just got to say, Yerry Mina's comment
that was hilarious.
Game, I go hard into every challenge, and I don't give a shit whether it's my mum, my wife, or my daughter. Is comedy. He's a
good crack. Yerry Mina's fun. I like him. He's a funny character.
We have to also talk about Caprile, who was again outstanding. This is, why did Napoli? I mean, I understand why they wanted Vanja Milinkovic-Savic, but they had Caprile. They should have kept Caprile, and they should have spent that money elsewhere. I love Vanja Milinkovic-Savic, but was it really necessary to bring Vanja Milinkovic-Savic in?
Possibly. I mean, whether Caprile's at that kind of Scudetto winning level, I don't know, but he's been outstanding. He's in the Italy squad as well. So, I mean,
he should be in the Italy squad.
He said he's been maybe the best goalkeeper in Serie A this season. He's been excellent. And Genoa 2, Fiorentina 2, the 2 teams with 2 new coaches, De Rossi for Genoa and Vanoli for Fiorentina. And
look, Lorenzo Colombo had an insane game. He gave away a penalty on a handball. Then he misses a penalty, and then he scores the. I mean, it was just absolutely batshit.
With one of the most bizarre goals ever. He was on the floor and he just threw his leg at it.
He did everything. It was a bizarre game for him, Colombo. Yeah. So it
was a strange game. Really bad defending, terrible, penalties given away for handballs and stuff, and kind of just summed up the work that those 2 managers have to do with these 2 teams.
And just Pisa winning was very interesting. This spices things up a lot. The first win of the season.
You were there, weren't you, with livefootballtickets.com?
No, I wish. Pisa's a lovely place. Tuscany is generally beautiful. It's my favorite place. No, but listen, it's Pisa Cremonese. That is so important, because that throws a spanner in the works of this relegation dogfight, which is going to be special, especially with Lecce.
Pisa are unbeaten for I think 4 games now, 5 games or something like that. Yeah, doing all right.
And Lecce Hellas goalless that. This is going to be so interesting. And Parma need to worry now. I would look at sacking that coach, because
really, I think I wanted to speak about Cuesta because I think that. The players that he's working with, I'm sorry, but he's not the first to blame there at all. That squad he's got, those players he's got are horrendous. And I actually think that they've actually been doing pretty well. They've been competing and doing well. And I mean, you try and score goals with those players that he's got. Pellegrino's fantastic. And I think he'll join a bigger club. But who else have they got? They've got nothing, nothing at all in attack. Other than a big battering ram, old-fashioned battering ram in Pellegrino, So I think he's doing as best as he can. To be honest, I think he's a little bit unfairly treated because he's young and he's foreign, and I think the Italian media go after him because of that.
That could be true, but at the same time, I don't think he deserves that job. I think there are better options out there. And
it was a massive gamble for sure. Yeah. It was a shot in the dark, in the same way that Chivu was a bit of a shot in the dark. But it doesn't mean that he's doing a bad job just because he was a shot in the dark. I think we're just kind of prejudging him for that reason. You can say it was a massissive gamble, but it was
But was it a necessary gamble with Inter and Chivu? They had no choice. That was.
I don't think so. I don't.
They did. The situation as it was after they lost Allegri, after they lost all these other options, Chivu was pretty much the best they could do, and Chivu should always be praised regardless of.
I think Cuesta's doing well. as well as he can be expected with what he's got. And do I think that somebody like I don't know, Palladini or some other
No, I'm not talking about Ballardini. Be
You know?
serious. Be serious. No, not Iachini and not Ballardini and not these, these
still alive in 2025. And listen, let's move on. Italy World Cup qualifiers Q&A. We'll do our preview of Italy versus away at Moldova. So check that out. Patreon.com/TIFP, $3.99 a month. That will come out on Tuesday, and we'll preview the Italy in the international break. Baggio, Premface, and Serie ASS of the week. So Baggio, do you have anyone from football before I give mine?
Yeah, I think Pessina for Bologna was stunning.
We didn't have anything to do, but it was a lovely story.
It's a beautiful story, and Bernabe's goal was fantastic. I love that. But yeah, the story and also I'm Chivu. I think the way that he has handled himself, the way that for everything I said about Inter and the way that they tactically and the way that he outclassed Sarri, the way that Inter behaved after poor performances and the tactical solutions and the clever way with which they played, including these tactical fouls, which pissed off a lot of people. It was a bit like watching Italy back in the day. Do you know what I mean? When these the dark arts, as the Premfaces say, like Inter played the dark arts against Lazio.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Lots of tactical fouls in that game, but that's part of it.
I like that.
I'm never going to criticize that. I'm only going to criticize the referees for like I said at the beginning. I'm not going to repeat myself. Right. I also want to praise Italy's rugby team. They beat Australia. Only the second time in history that Italy's rugby team is better than their football team right now. They're doing great, Italy.
This is where we are now. That you're literally
we're becoming the rugby
egg chasing into the pod.
Rugby and cricket podcast.
Yeah, you're trying to sneak in egg chasing into the pod.
Listen, I want to bring some positivity. People say we moan enough as it is. We're always moaning, and so Premface of the week. Right.
For me, it's the St. Albans mascot. I don't know if he's the Baggio of the week.
I think Baggio. I think this was amazing. This was just brilliant. So the St. Albans mascot was drunk and got ejected.
No, he wasn't drunk. He was rat-assed. Like, he was like, there's being drunk, and then there's whatever the hell that was. I couldn't stop laughing. And it was broad daylight too. Like, what the hell had he been drinking and for how long? Could not stand up straight. It was superb. It was comedy.
I love that. And also, we had a pundit on the William Hill podcast. I have no idea who he was, but he was a massive Premface. And he was basically saying that all teams that play 3-5-2 are automatically rubbish, including the Bayer Leverkusen Invincibles team, and how all of them would get hammered in the Premier League. None of them would be good enough in the Premier League. Yeah. So if you play 3-5-2, doesn't matter how good you are, you're automatically useless. Basically, that was his point.
Fantastic analysis. Really put the anal part in the analysis there. FIFA for me. How the hell do you put out a men's 11 defender nominees of the year? You don't include Bastoni, but Otamendi, Cucurella, Thiago Silva, Koulibaly, and Di Lorenzo are included. I mean, it's just bizarre.
Di Lorenzo, mad.
Yeah.
Well, all of those are a bit suspect, if you ask me. Right, Serie ASS of the week.
Yeah.
Turin derby, first of all. This was a young Juventus fan who's caught on camera mocking Torino fans over the 1949 Superga air disaster in which the entire Grande Torino team, including, of course, the legendary Valentino Mazzola, tragically died. Disgraceful. Just straight ban that Juventus. Just ban that fan. Give him because he's young. Ban him for 2 years. And I want to give him the chance to repent and learn from it. And if he does it again, ban him for life, because he was a young fan. That's the only reason that I wouldn't say just ban him for life. If an adult did that, I mean, it's just fans still do this shit in 2025. Like, you see it all the time with like Liverpool fans doing it to the Munich disaster, and people doing it to Liverpool fans over Hillsborough, and fans doing it to Juventus over Heysel, and it's just like, yeah, it's just we just need to kick that shit out. What's this? The Italy's new kit. We'll talk about that on the Q&A, whether we like that new kit. Fiorentina announcing the Paolo Vanoli. What's this? I didn't see this.
Okay, so they announced Paolo Vanoli, and they used the exact same image that he's been announced in the last 3 of his jobs on social media. So Torino used the same image. I think it was, I can't remember who else used it. It's literally the same photo of Vanoli.
They just cropped out the...
Just cropped out. It just
cropped out the logo.
Yeah. And the Serie A themselves, again, this is something I read and I had to verify it before I...
Well, this is... Can I just before you say that, this is social media. Like, honestly, we're talking about Serie A and the delicate situation it was at the start of this show about all the money, but about all the lack of goals and the excitement and the quality and the entertainment. In fact, we can't sell TV rights. It's difficult to sell the league because of all this. Well, I'm sorry, but some of the social media stuff that our clubs are putting out is just downright embarrassing. The marketing that we do, and this is our window to the world. And when they're doing shit like this, and Juventus are the worst. They drive me mad. Like some of the output, Juventus have got this kind of creator lab. And honestly, it's downright embarrassing. Like, no offense against all the creators. I know some of them. No, honestly, I'm not having a go at you.
Fault.
I'm not having a go at you. I'm just saying that Juventus right now, not to make this all about Juventus, because there are other clubs that are doing not too dissimilar shit. We all remember Milan's Zlatan and Zlatan game with speed of the first one to move is gay. But the social media output
annoys you so much.
The social media, well, it's homophobic for starters.
No, it's childish. It's not even homophobic. It's literally it's year 6. Like, it's year 6.
It's year 6, yeah. But anyway, listen, the social media output of Italian teams, but of Juventus in particular, is downright embarrassing. Like, I saw them playing. There was a game they put out last week, the week before, where they were asking all the Juventus players, do you wear socks in bed? And they put a big reel together on this. Do you wear socks in bed? Like, this is the level of output that Juventus are putting out. Like, and they've got...
this is what I mean. It's primary school.
And do you know what Como did? Como,
Como.
I don't know if that's what you were coming to, but Como, Como have this weekend, they invited... So basically, there's this guy, I don't know if he's Italian, but he did this selfie with Phil Foden this week at a Manchester City game. It was just him taking a photo of him and Phil Foden.
And that went viral.
Now, it went viral for some reason. Okay, fair enough. Some photos go viral. Fair enough. That's just social media for you. No issue. No problem with that. But from that, Como invited this fan to watch the Como match, or they invited him to the club, and they did this big marketing campaign. They put out this big post about how this shows how the strength of digital media, and how a selfie, and they called him the selfie king. They were like painting this guy up as like this big celebrity. Oh, look, we brought the selfie king to Como. And my immediate reaction is, my first reaction is, God, the young generation is cooked. Like, the young generation is fucked. Like, honestly, like, when we were youngsters, we used to aspire and look up to people that were talented.
That did something.
That achieved something. Now we're like, oh, look, here's an influencer that took a selfie that got 100 million views. Like, you should aspire. And then we're inviting him to stadiums. We're giving him... And I'm just thinking,
like, cured cancer or something.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just thinking, well, not only that, I think Como also hired...
No. This is... You talk about the state of Serie A. I'm sorry. And I don't mean anything against these two young lads. God bless them. Wish them nothing but happiness and joy in their endeavors and their careers. But when you appoint 2 scouts for your first team based on Twitter threads, I don't even know what to say to that. It's beyond embarrassing. It's shocking. It's genuinely shocking. There are people, like, talk about pissing in the face of everyone else at your own club, and who are serious professionals, who have studied the game, who work hard, who've dedicated their lives to working and educating themselves to make something out of themselves in football. And as coaches, taking their coaching badges, trying to train players, young players, all of those things, and you appoint two kids off of Twitter for writing threads, analytical, tactical threads, which I'm not, I've seen some of the stuff. It's all right. It's nothing earth-shattering, but that is just. My brain or my mind. That to me is just.
I don't know whether these guys have any other content, because I know that this has become.
One of them is a 20-year-old kid who supports Chelsea.
Yeah, I saw that guy. He's a Chelsea fanboy, but and he was praising Fabregas a lot, so I don't know whether that helped. But
but it's embarrassing. I mean, look, I'm not saying this.
Listen, I think that
you don't appoint professional scouts based off of social media threads.
Well, let me just say this. First of all, Como are probably one of the best run clubs in Serie A.
So which says everything you want to know.
So that is kind of worrying in itself. But one thing is that data and analytics has become really important in football for identifying young talent. We've seen that with Brighton. We've seen that with Brentford.
That's fine.
We've seen that with Atalanta. Like, this is really, really important. So the kind of idea behind hiring these kind of data scientists who really crunch the numbers and everything. I don't know enough about these two guys to whether they're those kind of people. So I'm not knocking the idea of hiring these people, even if they don't have the experience, rather than, having somebody that's
problem with that either.
Working within a club. So I just want to make that clear. I'm not going against those, but it does. It comes back to what we were saying at the beginning of the show, when Serie A is in this bit of a crisis at the moment with the way that the league is going, especially how bad the quality's been and how the lack of goals and entertainment and the interest, it's not good. When you then, and this is where it all ties together. When you have, the marketing is so bad, the social media output, and then when you're doing things like this, it just adds to the whole issue or problem of Serie A as a clown show.
Can you imagine Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, any Premier League club, Bundesliga club, or Bayern Munich, PSG, any of the top clubs in Europe, appointing a first team scout based off of his tactical threads on social media? I mean, it's like, meet the new foreign secretary, Jim off Twitter. Like, it's insane. This is mental.
Unless there's something else that he had. I mean, I don't think he even applied, did he? I think they just.
No,
I don't know.
To me, it's just bizarre. And to finish off with this is the quintessential Serie AS and it's Serie A itself. Luigi De Siervo, who's in charge of the Serie A.
You don't need to say any more. Just that name. That's it.
It gets worse. The Serie A have sued a YouTuber called Luke92Foot with a U on YouTube and lost, not for the first time, but for the second time on copyright infringement. You know why? Because Luke92Foot recreates Serie A goals and highlights on FIFA and on video games, and the Serie A consider this to be a copyright infringement, and they have sued them and lost twice. I don't know what to say.
I mean, really for starters, you don't need to be a legal expert to know that that's not copyright. You're not breaking. He's
using video games to recreate highlights, and they have been told twice by the same court in Genoa to basically piss off.
We're run by idiots, Nima. We are run by absolute idiots.
I don't have any words. I really don't have any words. I really, really don't have any words. Like it's like.
So I guess
And then,
they
of
should.
course,
I guess they should sue Domenico Sportivo back in the day when they used to recreate goals live. Do you remember on the afternoons? They used to be on a pitch and they used to like recreate the goals.
yeah,
Not
Quello che il
Domenico
calcio,
Sportivo.
yeah,
It was on
whatever that show
Rai.
was called.
Which show was it? I can't remember which show.
Quello che il calcio.
Yes, I think it was that one. Yeah, that was great.
Because they didn't have the right to it, but they used to send these horrible comedians to the games to do stupid like tasks. I remember that. It was insane. No, I'm sorry, but like it's just
Yeah.
No, I really
Okay.
like this is just to me like literally like why stop there? Let's just start appointing people off of social media. Why not have the foreign secretary be someone who does threads on Twitter on posts, geopolitical posts on Twitter? Why not? Might as well. What I mean, it's just embarrassing. This is just this is insane. No, it's just embarrassing. It's just embarrassing, and it is like you say, it's run by idiots. And the thing is, it's the desperation of it. They have no clue as to what they're doing. It literally is throw anything at a wall, inshallah something sticks. Like there is no strategy. There is no, they don't know what they're doing. Someone comes up with a good idea, they think, when they're brainstorming in their morning meetings, and then they just do it. There's no long-term strategy. There's no thinking. There's no analysis. There's nothing. Just buzzwords.
Yeah. Anyway, let's leave it at that. Let's
buzzwords and vibes.
Yeah.
Buzzwords and vibes.
Yeah. Let's leave it at that. Anyway, thanks everyone for listening. We'll be back with the Q&A on Tuesday, and then later in the week we're going to have. I'm going to be doing a post-match reaction on the Moldova versus Juventus, Moldova versus Italy game, and they would score. And you're going to be doing Italy versus Norway on Sunday evening. Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week. Ciao, ciao.